Welcome to the Elevate Podcast, your resource for all things business, brand, and leadership. We are excited you have decided to join us today.
Hey guys, welcome to the Elevate Podcast, episode number 30. I am Robert Kalin here with
Mike Newman. Great to be with you again today and looking forward to our conversation. So, Robert, what's our topic that we're going to discuss today?
Yeah, Mike, I'm glad you asked because today we're going to be talking about something special about procrastination and priorities. Okay. Might sound a little bit boring of a topic, but I guarantee you guys are going to pull something out of this that is going to change your life. It's going to be transformative to you. And everything that Mike and I do together, everything that we do at the Elevate Podcast, we're really looking for transformation for your life, for your business, for your brand, and your personal leadership. And so I am so ready for this conversation because it's been transformative for me in my life and the work that we've done in the past, Mike. And why don't you set us up with this conversation here?
Well, first off, whether you're driving, listening to us, or whether you're, sitting at home or, in your office, wherever you're at, if you've ever procrastinated on something, just raise your hand. Just raise your hand or shrink away like Robert just did. All of us, we procrastinate for some reason or another. I know for me, it's because it's something I don't want to do or I don't like to do. That's probably why I procrastinate. Robert, what would be reasons that you might procrastinate on something?
I would say maybe I don't know how to do it, and I feel like I can't ask.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can't ask, or is it that you're afraid to ask?
Probably a bit of both.
Both. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So,
or I don't know who to ask, or there's something.
Right. So one of the things we want to start doing on our podcast is giving you opportunities to get some additional information from us. And so if you want to learn some things additional about how we can overcome some of the things that we have when maybe we're a procrastinator, or how you set up, creating better priorities in your life. Robert, what would we'll remind them again at the end, but tell them where they need to go to get that info.
Yeah. So you guys, if you just want to make a comment, if you want to get good at priorities, make a comment, priorities below. And Mike and I will make sure to connect with you and send you a specific worksheet, which we will be talking about in a little bit. So if you aren't driving, I suggest you take your notes. I suggest you get a pad of paper, take some notes. You're not going to want to miss this. We also will have something in the comments that'll be a link for you to click. And with that, I want to talk about, the first piece of this, because in our leadership, we can either be reactive, and all of the things that happen to us, we are then having to play catch up. We're having to just try and figure out and pivot, or we can be proactive and we can anticipate things coming down the pipe. So give us a little bit, Mike, about being reactive and being proactive here.
So I think when we think about being proactive, that really means that we're, it means you're going to choose. You're going to choose to do something when you're proactive. When you're reactive, it means you're going to lose, or you're losing anyway. That's why you're reacting. And so, where would you rather be? Would you rather choose what actions you're going to take, or would you rather be finding out that you're losing and have to react to it? And you could use sports analogies or any type of thing. You can see where a team reacts or a team is proactive.
Yeah.
The same thing happens in your business. Are you anticipating what's going to take place? Are you making choices? Are you reacting to market conditions or different things? And I think when we talk about are you an initiator, a person that's proactive, or are you a reactor? Maxwell, in his book that you referred to before, I think the last episode about developing the leader within you 2.0, he's got this little chart in there about initiators and reactors. And he says that initiators prepare and reactors repair. Initiators plan ahead, reactors live in the moment. Initiators pick up the phone and make the contact. Reactors wait for the phone to ring. Initiators anticipate problems, reactors react to problems. And the last one I'll say is that initiators put their priorities on their calendars, and reactors put others' requests on their calendars.
Yeah, so good. You said we could use a sports analogy. I'm just going to run with that for a second because this works in our business, works in our life, which is, would you rather be on offense and have a chance to score, or would you rather be on defense and you have no opportunity to score at all? You're just trying to keep the other team from scoring points on you. Like you said, Mike, it's a losing game when you're reactive. And so how do we shift our mindset to become more proactive with the things that are going on around us?
Yeah. Well, think about when you get ready to go on vacation. How much stinking work can you get done on that day before you go on vacation
Oh, yeah.
than you probably did the whole week ahead of that time?
Yeah.
And so why is it that we do that? Is because we are being proactive. Maybe we're reacting to some things, trying to get some things moved in the right direction. But that deadline creates some clear priorities for us and helps us to
Yeah.
be very proactive in what we're doing. And so instead of focusing on efficiencies, most of the time when we're being reactive, we've got this survival mindset. We think that about how can we get through the day,
Mm-hmm.
versus saying, if we're thinking in a more in an effective way, and we're looking at the effectiveness of the things that we're doing, we're thinking from a success mindset. And is what I'm doing the best use of my time right now?
That's good.
When we talk about, and maybe now is the time to kind of jump into it, but there was a person many years ago. I forget his first name, but his last name was Pareto. And it came up with the Pareto principle.
Mm-hmm.
The Pareto principle basically says that that 20% of your priorities are going to create 80% of your production.
Yeah.
And they've got different examples of in time, that 20% of your time produces 80% of your results. That
Yeah.
in products, that 20% of the products bring 80% of the profits.
Yeah. And if everybody's been to a family picnic, there's 20% of your family that's eating 80% of the food.
Yeah.
It works everywhere, I'm telling you.
Yeah. And so when you look at it, what I would suggest you do right now, or maybe just on a paper, if you're taking notes, write down 1 through 10. Okay. And quickly write out your 10 things that are on the top of your mind that you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so as you're quickly scribbling those down on paper, maybe write so you're legible. But now what I want you to do is I want you to think about which one on that list is the most important thing for you to do.
Mike, what happens when they're all important?
Then they're not ever going to be a priority.
Yeah.
You can't have multiple things that are priority. I think that if you really use the Pareto principle, and the reason I said 10, because we can pick 2, and 2 of those are going to be the top things for you to focus on.
Mm.
What I will tell you is that over time, if you work that system, that pretty soon you'll find that you're able to get done the other 10 things or the other 8 things on your list.
Mm.
So that's analogy, Robert, you'd shared with me a video once about this professor who brought in this jar or this plastic container.
Mm-hmm.
And he started out by saying, how many of you think I can pour all these rocks in? So how's the rest of it go?
Yeah. So this is really absolutely amazing. And I'm going to put the link of this YouTube video in the description so that if you want to go watch it, you can watch it. But basically what happens is this professor says, hey, I've got this big jar of rocks. I'm going to pour them into this jar, right? How many of you guys think it'll fit? Yeah, everybody raise their hand. Yeah, this will all fit, right? Then he takes another jar and it's got smaller stones in it. And he says, how many of you guys think, in this jar that's already got a ton of rocks, I mean, it's filled up to the brim with rocks, that this other jar that's filled with little stones will fit in this jar as well? People are starting to go, yeah, I don't know, maybe. I mean, there's some gaps in there. It'll probably fit. And they pours it in. Of course, it all fits. Then he brings up a jar of sand. He says, how many people think that this jar of sand will fit in there? And sure enough, he pours the jar of sand in there. It fits everything. Then he brings up a water. And the jar is filled to the top. Nothing else is going to go in there, right? He brings this other jar of water. The whole thing fits in. It just fills all the gaps. And so when we prioritize effectively, we put the big rocks in first, the number one priorities, the things that we have to do, and then go down from there, right? It works in all of our life that when we start with the big things and work our way down, everything fits into our life without creating burnout, without creating exhaustion. But when we get our priorities wrong, if we were to pour the water in first and work backwards, you know what would happen? The big rocks wouldn't fit because it's not filling the gaps where the big rocks were spaced between each other. It's actually displacing it. And so the big rocks will not fit. And so the things that you need to be focused on, you can't focus on because you're so focused on the little things that really don't require all your time and attention. But when you reverse the order, you focus on really prioritizing effectively, which we're going to talk about next with the 3 R's, Mike. That's the game changer. That is the game changer. So we want to teach you guys this quick way that you can prioritize, and then we'll also share it with you. So I said earlier in this episode that just make a comment, priorities. Whether you're seeing this on Instagram, whether you're seeing this on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, whatever, comment priorities, and we will make sure that we get this to you so you can use it as well.
Right. So I think when we talk about priorities and procrastination, what Robert just gave you of that illustration, if you've put those big rocks in, those priorities, you likely will get to everything. But what you have to know is the answers to these 3 questions. What's required of me? What is it that only I can do or should do? Okay. What is the gives me the greatest return on my investment of time and effort? You know, and so some of you that are listening, you're probably really good cooks. For me, as I've said before, that's not a talent or a skill that I have or even care to have. And so for me to spend time shopping and cooking is not a good use of my time, and so what gives me the greatest return on my time is what you need to ask yourself. And then the third one is the question of what's most rewarding for me. Where am I getting my reward? So our best work is accomplished when we enjoy it.
Yeah.
And so we've talked a little bit about working genius in the past, but when you get joy and energy from the work you're doing, you can keep doing it no matter what. And oftentimes you'll spend way more time than you ever thought you would. But if you're in that working frustration area where you're not getting the satisfaction and reward, the joy and energy from it, it can really lead you to one of our previous episodes where we talked about burnout. And so, Robert, maybe you can go into a little bit more detail like you did on the previous episode about how we would go through and rank these areas of people to help them with the chart that we're going to be able to send them with they send in their information.
How to rank the priorities worksheet?
Yeah.
So that's great. So you have, just heard Mike tell you that you've got 3 basic questions you want to ask yourself. Is it a requirement that I do it? Okay. What I want you to do is I want you to rate yourself from 1 to 3 or 1 to 5. Let's go 1 to 5. We'll just say 5. Okay. 1 to 5. Is that a requirement for me or is it not? I can rank it a 1, maybe a 2. Okay. Can someone else do it? Do I get a return on my investment? Is it in my strength zone? If I do this work, is it going to return my investment, the time and the effort that I'm putting into it? Rate yourself 1 to 5 in that as well. And then reward. Do I enjoy doing this? Is it something that fills my cup, as Tony said, fills my bucket, right? Rate yourself 1 to 5 on that and score the results at the end. Okay. When you do this with all of your responsibilities, the top 10 responsibilities or priorities that you have, you can see your results on the end, right? Is it 15 or is it 0? It'll be somewhere in between there, right? But if it's not up there, if it's not, I would say if it's not like a 9 or above, you should probably consider not having it be your number 1 or number 2 priority. Your number 1 and 2 priorities should be closer to the 13, 14, 15 end of that spectrum. And then you can really focus on those top 2 priorities that are going to get you 80%, if we go back to that Pareto principle, of the return on your investment. And then you're going to be enjoying it. Those are going to be your big rocks. Once those 2 get out of the way, you'll be able to start whittling away, or maybe even delegating to someone else so that you can still get all the stuff done, fit everything into your jar, and have a huge win at the end of it.
Yeah, that's great, Robert. I think when we sometimes, our audience may be entrepreneurs, solo entrepreneurs, maybe business owners where they have a staff to be able to shift some responsibilities forward to. But think about if you're a solo entrepreneur, or you've got just a few employees, be thinking about what are those things that maybe you need to load to a contractor to do some of that work.
Yeah.
I think sometimes we forget about that, there's now virtual assistants that can maybe provide some support that are relatively inexpensive, certainly less expensive than hiring a staff person to do it. There may be somebody that can do your social media if that's something you need help with. And so thinking through some of the things that you have, I know on my list that I have every day, there are some things that don't get done. And then I look at it and why didn't it get done? Well, it's not in my strength zone. Maybe it's where you said, Robert, I don't know how to do it. It's going to take me more time. I'm thinking about something that I put out there today that I'm halfway done with, and I stopped because I didn't know how to do it. And I was in a hurry to get to the next thing I needed to do. So it's sitting open on my computer to do. Now, will I get to that later today? I hope so. But I might be procrastinating on it because it's something I don't know how to do or don't want to do. So as we wrap up our episode today on procrastination and priorities, I want to leave you with this thought. If you can just identify your top 2 priorities every day, make your list of 10, identify your top 2 and focus on those, you're going to find that you're able to get done items 3 through 8 in your priorities. They just, or 3 through 10 in your priorities. It just happens. Now, you may need to give it a week, as I was mentioning earlier, or even a month, but try doing it. You're going to find it's going to make a huge difference for you. And if you're not a list person and you're, chaotic in your thinking all the time, being a task-oriented list person myself, it works well for me. It should work well for everybody.
Yeah. Well, the other thing with this, Mike, is that it'll bring clarity. If you're a small business, if you're an entrepreneur that's wearing all the hats, it's also going to bring some clarity about the things that you need to hire for. It's going to bring clarity around the job description that you need to create so that you can hire that person, right? There's things that are going to come out of this list that are beyond just accomplishing the tasks. And so I want you to think from a different lens as you approach this 3 R's worksheet. And look, we are so here for you. Like, this is all about you guys. And we would not be doing this if it wasn't for you. So thank you for being a loyal listener, for tuning in every week. I know I speak for Mike and myself when we say we love you guys. We are so excited for you and what you're doing in the world and the impact that you're having, the positive impact that you're having with your teams, with your communities. And we are just rooting for you. So however we can help, let us know. We're here for you guys. That's it for this episode. Take care.
We'll see you next week.
God bless.
Thank you for joining us. Our hope is this episode has been helpful for you today. If it's impacted you in some way, we encourage you to share it with someone. To receive a direct notification of our next episode, click the follow button on your favorite app or platform. You can also watch each episode on YouTube. The links are in the description. If you want to connect with us on a deeper level, go to countercultureleadership.com/resources. We'll see you next week on the Elevate Podcast.